Воевать с Европой, я уже об этом 100 раз сказал. Но если Европа вдруг захочет с нами воевать и начнет, мы готовы прямо сейчас. Ура!
I think it's clear that Europe's whole approach to defence is changing. And the very fact that the Germans have been trying to put together this plan whereby 800,000 troops can be moved across the continent towards the east in time of war says something, because certainly until a couple of years ago, this idea would have been frankly inconceivable. So whether or not this plan works, nonetheless, it does represent something of a change in German, European and NATO planning. One of the reasons why the Germans went through this whole exercise is precisely to identify problems, and as I understand it, a lot of problems were identified. It's all very well on paper showing how you can move troops from one place to another, but then when they come to the realities, there are roads that are too narrow, bridges that are too narrow or can't take the weight of heavy modern tanks, railway lines which would frankly be over jammed and so forth. So in some ways what this has really identified is a lot of problems which will need to be addressed. And with the current plan is that NATO members are going to try and hit the target of spending 3.5% of their GDP on defence and an extra 1.5% on defence related expenses. I think we're going to see a lot of that 1.5% being spent precisely on the infrastructure. So there's a practical problem, but there's also a political one. The more that NATO prepares to be ready for time of war, the greater the risk that Russia thinks this is not actually a defensive plan, but an offensive one. And we've already got some Russians who genuinely believe NATO is an aggressive, dangerous military alliance, and who are talking about this as potentially NATO's plans to invade Russia. There's no question but that the Germans wouldn't have gone through this extensive program of drawing up such a plan and now having to revise and edit it if they hadn't felt that it was necessary. And from their point of view, it is necessary not just to be able to move all these troops, but for the Russians to know that NATO could move all these troops precisely for a deterrent effect. And in that respect, it could be successful. Now, my opinion actually is that Russia does not pose a direct military threat to NATO. But nonetheless, we have to acknowledge that it's possible, even possible under some future ruler after Putin. So in that context, the more that Europe looks militarily capable, the more that it clearly can shift its troops around to meet potential threats, then the stronger a deterrent effect this will have.